So, who is really controlling South Africa right now? Who is controlling South Africa right now? Is it the government of national unity coalition? Is it the ANC? Is it the Stellenbosch mafia? Is it, who's actually controlling South Africa? Who's responsible for the highest unemployment in the world, the highest crime rate, only beaten by a narco state, inequality highest, um, uh, keeps growing, and funny enough, keeps growing amongst the race that we've been hearing since 1994 are the ones who must be saved from inequality. Inequality is highest amongst blacks alone and rising. Who's controlling the country and that's causing all of this to happen? We have a budget that's, there's a big wrestle over it. 200 basis points, and then it's changed now to 500 basis points over 2 years. And the government of national unity is, who knows what happens because the ANC gets the votes from the EFF and MK, with the DA staying in the GNU. That's a mess. If the DA comes out of the GNU instability, we right. If the DA agrees, that's got its own things. And so the DA apparently is absolutely rejecting it. MKEFF absolutely rejecting it. But the MKEFF calling the DA to a side meeting. I think it's the EFF saying, let's discuss how we can work together because we know you have the ANC who hates there's enmity rather between the ANC and DA based on ideological reasons. But now there's Cain and Abel fights between the ANC and the EFF and the MK, because EFF and MK, that's a blood war, right? Those are ANC babies who would love to kill ANC and be the real ANC. So working with them is complicated, and the economy hasn't grown for like 17, 18 years. Not only hasn't grown, but has gone back. Who is controlling South Africa right now? The media has become radical left-wing propaganda machines that literally take any issue. They no longer just report the facts or question based on facts. There's no media anymore in the country because you just can't sit and get the facts without them squeezing in a narrative in there. Who is really controlling South Africa? And so here's the truth. Who controls South Africa? The answer is simpler than you could imagine, right? Because countries are not controlled by political parties, not by parliament, not by the justice system. Yet they keep moving in a certain way, and of course, usually someone will say, "There's some guys back there, probably drinking blood and things like that." That's kind of close enough. But here's the thing. We don't wrestle against flesh and blood, meaning it's not people that cause the fights, but it's principalities. That's literally spirits, principalities like a prince against powers, against rulers of the dark, against rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness, which do not operate here in anything we see, but countries become what they are because of the supernatural forces that operate behind the scenes, and then they affect the politicians, they affect the parliaments, especially in a democracy, because you need the masses to empower the politicians, and the politicians can then, think in certain ways. The real controller of South Africa are the spiritual forces behind the scenes, the invisible forces that manage to control masses and then determine how the masses empower individuals who then represent those spirits, right? That's why nothing makes sense if you think you can just reason with people. Nothing makes sense if you think, let's just get a message out there, because this is who really runs things. Now, how do these invisible spirit powers run things, right? So I come from a biblical perspective, and I know the kingdom of darkness has various spirits, right? So you'll hear of Leviathan, he operates a certain way. No man can serve two masters. You cannot serve God and Mammon. Mammon is a spirit, right? He's likened to a spirit. Mammon is a spirit. It's a spirit of greed. So you have certain spirits, which you can call them by name. Sometimes you have I'll tell you, spirits that are responsible for the non-growing economy, highest crime rate that nobody ever talks about as a problem, highest unemployment, more people earn a salary of 370 instead of more people earning a salary of 30,000 rands, right? And all of that. You have spirit powers that are in charge. Spirit of anger, spirit of bitterness, spirit of envy. Those three guys run South Africa. If you are, no, we'll talk about it in another video, but let me tell you why I say this. Because how you control masses, you've got to bewitch them. You have to bewitch them. And you bewitch them so that they can't see even what is clear before them. Tell me of one guy who can have all the scandals that the ANC has had in the country, but still manage to keep their job. How do you do that? Of course you can't. Tell me of one CEO that has had evidence upon evidence upon evidence upon evidence of corruption, theft, incompetence, mismanagement, and yet the board thought, I stick with you. Never. Tell me of a church, let's say, where the pastor has had equal scandals to ANC, EFF, MK put together, and still managed to have their board say, that's our leader. It's been clearly portrayed, but what's happened? They bewitched. Bewitched means you can't even see the most obvious things that's before your eyes. Now, to bewitch means to allow a certain force, spiritual force, to control a mass of people. And here's the thing, you cannot reason with them. You cannot go logically with them. In fact, if you speak logic, they get angry. We are a country that has had no economic growth over a long period of time. And yet, do you know that the term economic growth is the one of the most hated terms in a country that has shack growth like crazy. Bewitched. They can't see what is clearly portrayed. If you talk about creating jobs, you make them angry. That's why you watch now, it's quite interesting in the GNU. You've got ones talking about economic growth, the others talking about inclusive growth. Why do they change the name? Because you will upset the spirit behind it, right? Because there's a spirit there and it bewitches people. That's why even this video will make some people mad who've been living here, seeing that there are more people begging at their robot than 5 years ago, than 10 years ago, than 15 years ago. They'll be angry with me and they'll start insulting me. It's not them, it's the spirit that's controlling them. You can't be angry with them. They are bewitched. They can't see the most obvious, clear thing. That is who runs South Africa. How do you activate spirits? With narratives. Now, the greatest narrative which I preach is the gospel. The gospel's a narrative. It's very simple. Man born in the garden falls into sin. God sends Jesus to take the punishment, and then the connection is faith. If you believe in him, you can live as if that sin never happened. It's a narrative which I believe is 100% true with every fiber of my being. But this happens even at lower levels. You need narratives to activate spirits. That's why the gospel is the power of God, right? To activate the power of God, you need to tell God's narrative. Now, that's at a spiritual level. Let's come back to a country. How do you get people bewitched? You use narratives. The narrative activates spirits. The spirits control the people. You have a narrative that activates anger, bitterness, envy. Those spirits then take over the people. They can't think away from envy. They can't think away from bitterness. They can't think away from resentment, and nothing else they'll see, right? Like our gospel is veiled. It's veiled to those who are perishing, those whose minds the God of this earth, this age, has blinded. So what causes all of this? It's because most of our people are blind. Now, I hear many people say, oh, they're so dumb. No, they're as smart as ever. Even highly educated people, they're even the worst because they have nice words to threaten us with while they're talking stupidity. Why? Because they're blind. Can you reason with them? No. The light of a narrative that would bring change is blocked by who? The spirits behind who controls the country. So what's wonderful though for me is that a new era is dawning. I've been realizing in the country that more and more people are breaking free from the control of the gods that control this country. More and more people's eyes are being opened. More and more are getting enlightened. More and more are escaping the gods that are activated by Karl Marx. And I want to say this to believers because this is something that's not understood. No man can serve two masters, because either he will love the one and hate the other. He will disrespect the one and he will honor the one and disrespect the other. You cannot serve God and the demon activated by Karl Marx. Not don't do it, it's impossible. So I'm excited to see that a new era is dawning in South Africa, And what you know about spirits is spirits love and get attached to territories. Right? You remember when Jesus wanted to cast out that devil, and the devil begged him that he would not send them out of the country. Now, as much as people's eyes are opening slowly and they're starting to speak out and all of that, which means the demon behind that narrative gets weakened, that demon doesn't want to leave. That's the nature of demons, especially the longer they've been, the harder it is for them to let go of their control. And so I think what we're going to see is something like this, that when that unclean spirit was coming out, he convulsed and cried out with a loud voice. The noise is about to get louder. It's about to get louder. As the devil behind the witchcraft that's been going on, right? Where somehow someone from Africa believes using a word like comrade is apparently from what? isiZulu? From Sutu? From what? Where is it from? Is it Shangan? Is it where does the word comrade come from? Why does it get used all the time? No, no, no. It's just how some people speak. Why? Because there's a narrative they carry, and that narrative comes with a certain spirit. And wherever that spirit has been in charge, poverty, crime, inequality has always gone up, because countries are not run by people, they are run by spirits. And so it's going to be interesting over the next year or two and few years, because that spirit is beginning to lose its grip. And listen, it's not going to come out to that fight. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited that a new era is dawning in South Africa. I can't wait for the time when more people, when if you're unemployed, we assume that it's because you don't want to. When you're unemployed and you want to, we assume you probably will have a job in the next 3 weeks. That's where we're going. But in between that, it's going to be interesting, because we have to unseat one devil and replace with a different spirit. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going back to publish the book that I have. Check in the link below and see, maybe it is there. So it's Bonsai. Check it out. Please tell me what you think about this in the comments below, and like, subscribe, and tell somebody to tell somebody. But no man can serve two masters, because he'll love one and hate the other, or he'll respect one and disrespect the other. You cannot serve God and Karl Marx. See you at the next video.